leaders weren't doing anything about it. Local government officials weren't doing anything about it. And even the President of the United States at the time, Ronald Reagan, did not utter the word AIDS until 7 years into his presidency. And when he finally did say AIDS publicly, more than 20,000 Americans had already died of AIDS. So you can imagine the outrage you would feel watching your friends die and having nobody do anything about it. It was this outrage that sparked my activism. And at the time in New York, there was a group forming which took the name ACT UP. It was an acronym that stood for AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. And ACT UP took to the streets wearing combat boots and military-style jackets and dog tags with the name of our friends who had died on them. ACT UP was loud and in your face and marched not in peace, but in anger. And it is this anger that Jesus displays in today's gospel. It is the anger that fuels social justice. Now, we find it difficult to think of people like Jesus and Gandhi and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King, people of peace. It's difficult for us to picture them getting angry. But you know, Gandhi said this about his anger. He said, "I've learned to conserve my anger, and like heat that is conserved is transmuted into energy, so our anger controlled can be transmuted into a power which can move the world." And the contemporary writer Martha Beck said, "Virtually every step that our species has taken towards a better society happened because someone used a tank full of anger to move the world." It is this anger that Gandhi used to free India from oppression. It's this anger that the suffragettes used to get women the right to vote. It's the anger of the Amistad story, which we commemorate today. It's the anger ACT UP took during the AIDS crisis, and it is the anger that Jesus displays here as he destroys the temple. It's really shocking to us because the Jesus we're familiar and comfortable with is the Jesus that said, "Turn the other cheek, forgive someone 70 times 7 times. And here we see him brandishing a whip and throwing tables over. It's shocking to us and it makes us uncomfortable. But what Jesus did was exactly what Gandhi was talking about. Jesus didn't display his anger very often. He conserved it, and he was able to transmute it into an energy that saved the world. And that's what he is doing in today's gospel. Now, I don't know about you, but I actually kind of like that Jesus displays anger, because it reminds me that Jesus was a human, just like us. I find it hard to relate to someone who is just perfect. I like knowing that Jesus went through everything I went through, that he experienced impatience, he experienced anger, he experienced worry, he experienced lust. And I know that's strange for us to think of Jesus going through those emotions, but if he was human, he certainly did. But here's the difference. Jesus became a master of his emotion. And most of us are slaves to our emotions. We let our emotions control us. We don't control them. And that, to me, is what the message of today's gospel reading is. In today's gospel, Jesus cleansed the temple. Now, why did he do this? Well, it was because the temple is a very holy, sacred place. And what was going on there didn't belong. People selling things, loan sharks exchanging money. Jesus needed to rid this holy temple of the things that didn't belong there. So what does this mean for us today? Well, where is the temple today? Jesus refers to it in today's gospel, and we hear it later in the scripture when it is said, the body is the temple of the Spirit. This is the temple. You have an inner temple. It is holy. And you defile it when you have things in there that are not holy, that do not belong there. And like Jesus had to take out a whip to drive them out and overturn tables, you've got to drive out and overturn the things in you that are defiling your holy temple. So when you are experiencing worry and lack and limitation and anxiety and unworthiness, those are not things of God. They're not holy. So they don't belong in your holy temple. You are the temple of the Spirit. So you need to drive those things out of there. And as we heard in our words of integration this morning, it's not always a nice process. It's sometimes a very harsh process. But it's something that has to be done if we are going to live lives of peace and abundance and harmony. The season of Lent is the perfect time for doing this. Because as we've been speaking about the past several Sundays, Lent is about letting go. It's about loosening those knots, those things that bind us and tie us. We want to release those during this time of Lent. Now, I want to let you know that your emotions are not necessarily bad. Just like Jesus' anger wasn't bad. Our emotions are only bad if they control us. If they get the best of us. Like I said earlier, if they are the masters of us, we're controlled by our emotions. Jesus is saying you have the power to be the master of your emotions, not to be controlled by them. For example, let's say the emotion you're feeling is jealousy. You're really jealous of someone. That emotion is not necessarily bad. This could be the sign or signal from your spirit that's saying, maybe you're not living the life you want to really lead. If you're jealous of someone because they're living a life that you wish you could live, maybe that jealousy is a sign from God that says, okay, you're feeling this. Why aren't you doing something about it? And it's the same thing with our anger. What are you angry about? Maybe you're angry about wage inequality. Maybe you're angry about marriage inequality. Maybe you're angry about animal abuse. Maybe you're angry about the destruction of our planet. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's bad if you let it control you when you're stewing every day and just so mad. Or you can do what Jesus did. You can transmute that into a power that can change the world. You can actually do something with that anger. It can actually fuel your social justice. And you can use it to transform your life and to transform the world around you. What Jesus did when he cleansed the temple is he had to get people's attention. And he got it. He had to wake people up so that change could take place. And that's what the season of Lent is all about. It's about you awakening, about you going within to your inner temple and saying, what doesn't belong here? This is what I need to get rid of. And when we do that, when we awaken to those things, then we touch the power within that can transform our lives and transform the world around us. Namaste. Namaste.